Yes, this is a lot of pink. There is so much pink. In fact, it's called Blossom Blush, and this is by our friends at Find It Trading. There is an 8x8 paper pack as well as 4 sheets of what they call push-outs. We call them die cuts. And all of this is what I have used with Paulette's Paper Play. Thank you for joining me. In fact, this is one of the cards, and I'm happy to share. And I found out something really, really neat, so I really want to show that to you. Will you please come play with us? Well, before I get started, let me just flip through the papers and show you what we have. Now, this is, as I said, 8x8. There are 12 designs and 16 double-sided sheets. So I just want to show you, so let's get in closer because the art is pretty light and I just don't want you to be surprised. So you see we'll have an image and then we'll have the reverse. So this is pink with white on it. This is white with pink, but same artwork. That's going to work nicely. Same thing on the hearts. Same thing, this is kind of a tapestry. Then we have a stripe on this one, and then we also have these flourishes in a row, and we do have the reverse of that. And this is more of a tapestry look, and that's the stripes ones that I just showed you, but we also have stripes, so we've got more. And then this is duplicating the double. Now, in addition, we have some cutouts. So in the back, not there, but right there, you've got some cutouts and some tags and things. Now, I did not use any of the cutouts, so those are also available. And then the push-outs or die cuts, there are 4 sheets. And as you can see, that has 3, that has 3, that has 3, and that has 3. So from very, very light pink over to almost a magenta. And one thing that I noticed when I got started was because the papers are so light, I really wanted to look for colors that would pop with them. One thing I discovered is our asparagus suede is perfect with all of these greens. I mean, it's just gorgeous. So I'm going to use that a bit. Then I also looked at what other pinks I could find. So I used this. This is our flourish, pink flourish foil, sorry, pink flourish foil. Got that? And I also used this, which is the Italian Rose Mary cardstock. So I really wanted to use a pink fab foil, but as I was doing the cards, I didn't have room for it, but that was in my heart of hearts I wanted to do. So let's get started. And this is my win to show you. I was very excited with this. And let me show you why. Because I love this cutting die. It's called Butterfly Window. It has this oval and this intricate swirls that are just kind of going right to each other, and then a butterfly. But if you don't want the butterfly, look, you can use this with anything, absolutely anything. And I think it is just, well, I just patted myself on the back because I think it works really well. So it just gives more to what you can do with a cutting die. And as you know, we all want to use our cutting dies in as many ways as we can just to justify the price. So, in fact, I'm going to give you a deal on this in the Money Saver, which I'll tell you about in a little while. So, what I did is I took my 5 by 6.5 inch card and I covered it with this pink. Now, it's kind of hard to tell because then I covered it up, but I wanted a pink, and this is one of those kind of tapestry pinks, and use that on the front of the card. Then I cut a piece of my asparagus, and I'm going to use the asparagus a couple of times, like I said, because it just works so well. And as Sarah would tell you, you can pet it, and it's very nice. So I cut a piece that doesn't quite cover my card, but it's going to be the foundation for my cutting die. And I used the white glitter, as you can tell. In fact, let me hold it up so you can really tell. There you go. Okay, shine, glitter, shine. And that's just perfect, I thought. Especially, see how that green matches so beautifully? Okay, so in die cutting this, I cut it with the white glitter, And it was super easy, just super, super easy. Now, to attach that to the suede, I went back to our old friend, Sticky Specs. Now, Sticky Specs, let me open this up. As you probably remember, hopefully you remember, it's got, I think this has got 4 sheets in it. Excuse me. And all you do is take your, in this case, my white glitter sheet, pull back the lining, decide which side has the sticky specks on it, it's the yellow side, place your white glitter on top, press it down a little bit. You can even push this over and rub it down, although you don't terribly need to do that. So, and then lift it up, and what that does, all of these 1 million little micro dots get stuck to it, and that just makes it foolproof to place it onto anything, in this case onto the asparagus suede, and that way you're not going to have little bits pulling up. So it's perfect, just works really well, and we're going to be using the sticky specs again too, so stay tuned. So that'll work nicely. Now, so that gives me this piece, and what I then did is I took this sheet, and this is called Bright Pink Push-Out. So let me find it over here. Yeah, so it's this piece. Whoops, sorry, hang back. Here it is. They look similar because they both have the tulips. Okay, so it's this piece, so it's called Bright Pink Push-Outs, and it starts with, on our website, Blossom, Blush, and then Bright Pink, so that's what it looks like. And you can see, like I said, that there are 3 pieces for each one, and they are designed to be layered with foam tape. Now, they are conveniently numbered, so I did that in the instructions, so I used number 1 and number 3. And then I used this number 1 and number 4. I'll show you that on the inside. So you simply pop those out. For the front, I used that number 1 here, and foam taped it down, and that just worked perfectly. Then I used our friend, the caviar beads. And can we get in close, Jeanette? Keep going. Keep going. Now, this is a type of flower. In fact, let me show you the original art. You can see it really has those beads around it. But I wanted to do that with the caviar beads. Now, the foolproof way is to use our Cosmic Shimmer glue and just put some dots. That's all you have to do. Then hold this over a tray or a bowl or something. Pour on the caviar beads. These are black ones, and they'll stick to the glue. And then just tap off the excess, return the excess to the bag, and you are done. Super easy, super, super easy. But it's going to give you more definition. But it's not going to be, you know, too thick or anything. It's just super easy. So, and it gives us a little bit more of the black, which is what we want. Okay. Now, the happy birthday. That came from the Inside Out Dazzles. These are card inside, outside. So you can see there's happy birthday, and then I'm going to put I love you on the inside, but I could have put may all your wishes come true, anything. So that's what we're going to use here. Just place them right there. Now, I don't know if you can tell, but when I was at that point, so I had the yellow, the pink up at the top, and I had all this center area. It looked a little empty. I just wanted a touch more. So what I did is I took our fancy border lace white dazzles. Got that? Well, you'll see it in the list of materials. I know that's hard to see, but there's a whole bunch of dazzles. They come from narrow ones to thicker ones. Now, there's a thicker one. In fact, let me lift it up so you can see. Here we go. So that's the thickest one. So I left it on the backing, and I put it in my paper trimmer, and I cut it in half. And I put 1/2 at the top and the other half at the bottom. So it gives me that lacy look, and I just find cutting it in half works really well for me. Then I took another one and just had it meeting the width of the glitter and put it there and put the same one down there. And I felt like that did a better job of framing my card and making, this is so intricate and so lovely that I wanted those to be supporting it in the same mood and look of it. So that's what I did. Now, on the inside of the card, so I've got the pink and then I've got the asparagus suede. So on the inside of the card, I put the asparagus suede all over, and it's a much simpler look on the inside. So you can see it's very ornate and lovely, and it's drop dead gorgeous with all of that prettiness going on. And then on the inside, it's a little simpler, but it's still pretty. And so that was important to me. So I did the asparagus, and then I took the stripe, which is on another sheet, and it's actually on the back side of this one. So there's the stripe again, it's smaller. So you're going to need to use an adhesive. The specialist glue is going to work nicely to do that. Then I took our arch dies and I die cut just the arch into the glitter. So it's still a rectangle, but it's got the arch in it. And I just thought that was a nice shape to go around these tulips that are kind of an L shape. So that's what I did, glued that in place. You see it's kind of centered. And then I took the tulips, which are the second of 3 images on this. So I took the number 1 and the number 3 I foam taped in place. So it's right there. And the I love you from the card inside out. And notice it's going outside that arch, which is a design thing that I really like doing, is to, you know, kind of go outside the parameters that are set for me. Yes, I do that personally as well as creatively. You know, I noticed that I didn't tell you. I told you that I used 2 pieces on the tulips and I used 2 pieces here. I forgot to tell you that one of those 2 pieces is on top here. So my apologies for that. But what I want you to remember is that this cutting die can be used so many places in addition to being a butterfly. So I felt very, well, I'll tell you, I felt very clever. And I just wanted to share it with you. Okay, so that's what I have here. We'll go on to the next card. And I use this. So this is part of, all of these pinks are so light. Well, you can see how faint that is, that I really wanted to boost them. Wanted to use the papers because the papers are a great foundation, but I really wanted to boost it with maybe some shine, some sparkle, you know, a few other things. So this one is using a couple of things. So let me show you. This is the sheet. This is called light pink. This happens to be where it's located in the warehouse, not that you need to know that. And you can see that I've used several pieces. Now notice that in all of these, and it's true of absolutely all the cards, I didn't use all 4 or 5 of any of these. I just used pieces. What does that do? Well, it makes them go farther, not that you would be interested in that, but I also like the look. And it doesn't get as thick, so it's your choice, okay? So in this particular card, this is the sheet that I used. This is the one with the straight lines where the flourishes are in a straight line. And this is the pink one. And I used that to cover my card, okay? Now I knew that I wanted to use this. Now this is a design that Debbie did. And she used our Luscious Lace cutting dies. And she used this on the new brushed diamond papers that we have, but I thought it would be pretty here. Again, it is this lacy, pretty look that's going to go nicely with the flowers and with the papers. So, but I wanted a pink that would support the colors. And this one I love because it is a foil. It's 12 by 12, so you've got a lot of it. And when you die cut it, what you get is the pink. you're not really going to see the pattern, although the pattern is perfectly wonderful, and I have used this before, but look what it does. It just works perfectly. And, well, I think it's perfect. Now, what I wanted with the border is I wanted something that was a different color than this paper. That was tricky to get, and I ended up, and I only have a sliver to show you. So this is the reverse. No, that's not true. I don't want to lie to you. This is another paper. I thought this having more pink in it, a little bit bolder, would show. It doesn't. So it just kind of looks like a white sheet, doesn't it? But it's not. It's this sheet. So I cut that and I put it here. But before I glued it down on both, not on the card, just on this sheet, I inked the edges. So that means I put it on a craft mat. And I inked the edges with Velvet Fawn. Velvet Fawn is also a soft color. So I used that on the edges just to give it a little bit of definition from this pink. So I'm not sure how much you can see on camera, but in person there's just a gentle shading there. And then to get these two very intricately cut dies, we want to go back to the sticky specs because that's going to make attaching them super easy. So the nice thing is that even as intricate as this is, or as the first one was, they die cut beautifully. And even onto the foil or the glitter, just works perfectly. No problem, no big deal. So glued this down first. Not glued it, sorry, sticky specked it. Is that a verb? Sticky specked it down, and then I sticky specked the doily down in place, and this one goes over this one, so you can see it goes over a little bit. Then I went into the blossom, and this is the sheet I used, and you can see, I think it's helpful to see, probably be nice to show you the whole thing. Okay, there's the whole thing. And then there's what I used. So the arch is going to be on the inside of the card because you're not seeing it. But these I used to create this little, what kind of flower is that? Chrysanthemum, I think. And so those have been foam taped in the center of my foil doily. Now, I wanted to get some greeting in here. And since I had my foil piece, and since I have my dies, there they are. These, this is Happy Hello, Thanks and Love. So I used hello, used the same foiling, used the same sticky specs, and did it right here. Now that foil piece is 12 by 12, so you've got a lot of die cutting that you can do. So place that down there with the sticky specs. Now I wanted something on the edge. And so I used, this is just simply our pink jewel border dazzles. And doesn't it match the foiling so perfectly? How good is that? Well, just worked out nicely. And then I used the white ribbon because, putting pink would have just been too much. And there is white in here. I didn't want to leave a white edge because I really wanted to use this. And so that worked nicely for me. So I've got the dazzles around the edge, the white bow knotted in place. Now for the inside, did a little simpler. So this has got the sheet that is the reverse of the one that's on the front. So just cut that, and look what you can do with that same luscious lace border. You can cut it at the top and at the bottom, and it just is really nice. So did that, sticky specked it in place. Then I took a paper doily, and we love the paper doilies because, it's going to work nicely with that foil doily on the top. And somewhere in my pile of stuff, I don't see it, but I know I pulled it. But anyway, trust me, that's the white paper doily, 4-inch wide. And I did ink the edge with my blending brush and blush, so that worked nicely. You can see, hopefully you can see that that's just a shade, and just right at the edge. It takes, 10 seconds to do this whole thing. It's just nothing. Then I use the arch piece. You can see it right there. So there's 4 pieces, 1, 2, 3, 4. I used 2 of them. I used the number 1 and the number 4 right here. And I thought that worked really well on the doily because it's part of an arch also. So that was nice. And then I went back to my script cutting die, and I used thanks. And notice that this is going over the doily and sticky specked it in place. And that works. So I like the fact that it's very pink on the front, and then it goes a lot of white or blush color on the inside. And I like the words being as bold as they are. So that worked nicely. And it's using my foiling, and I did not even touch probably half of the foiled sheet. So that's nice. Okay, now we're going to go to this one, and this I showed you in the opening, and it was interesting. I try to do vertical and horizontal cards equally when I do the webisodes, and I needed a horizontal card, and I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, you know, I don't know that I've ever used an oval on its side just like I did here. This is pretty simple. But sometimes pretty simple is fine to do. And I used the oval dies that would be right here. Well, first I put the paper down. Now this is it kind of looks like netting in the paper. And I guess I didn't pull one. Okay, so it's kind of a netting. And I know that these are probably all looking the same on camera, but they are in similar tones, but it gives you a wonderful platform for adding a punch. And that's exactly what I've tried to do. Do you think that's a good punch? Yeah. So this is a horizontal, the fold is at the top. So I covered it with that kind of netting look paper. And then I wanted to go back to this asparagus. This is the pink push-outs. And you can see why I chose the asparagus. I mean, it's just perfect. But in looking at that, I thought, okay, horizontal. Well, let me go into our 10 oval and scallop cutting dies. So we've got the scallop and the straight, you know, the non-scallop edge. And I thought, I don't know that I've ever done or have seen 2 scallops put together. Often it's a circle or an oval, it's a straight edge with a scallop, but to have 2 scallops, and I thought, well, it's time to do that. So I die cut the smaller one out of the asparagus because I wanted that next to the flower. And then I used what I showed you in the beginning. This is in Italian rose, and did that with the larger piece. Now, before I put this in place, I put the dazzles, and this is the pink border dazzles that I used. Didn't I use that earlier? Okay, so the pink border, as she is shuffling on her table, can you tell? And frantically looking for it and not finding it. Okay, oh, there they are. Yes, I found them. Ta-da. Okay, same sheet that I used earlier. And what I did is I took a wider one. In this case, it's in the center of the sheet. So let me lift it and show you. Okay, this is the widest one. Oops. Okay, does that help? Okay, so this one, and I put it in the center. And then I put 2 narrow strips on each side, but I left a little space just to make this bigger. So that's what I wanted to do, as I wanted that to be a little more striking. And then I used a piece at the top and another piece at the bottom. So 1, 2, 3, 4 strips is what I used. Okay, so put that down first, and then I can put this piece together. And you'll want to use either extra sticky tape or the Cosmic Shimmer glue. Either one will hold those nicely in place. And then I took this piece, and let me show you the full one. So it's this one. So again, you can really see how how pale those blossom blushes are. This is called the pink push-outs. And what I really like about this are the angles that they give you. You saw the L in the tulips. Well, this I thought was really pretty because I can tuck something next to it. I can tuck a greeting next to it, but I need to position it over to the left side in order to do that. And so I did. So I glued the first one down and then foam taped. Well, I guess I lied when I started. I said I didn't use all 4 layers. I used all 4 layers, but not on the front. I used 2 layers on the front. And this is from the Sympathy Dazzles. So the Sympathy Dazzles comes in a package with many colors. I happen to use the black. So blessings there. So pretty simple look, but yet there's stuff going on, making this bigger by separating the pieces, using 2 scallops together, and of course, always using the asparagus. Then on the inside, I've got a very different look. So very pink and green on the front, very white on the inside. So same thing, I wanted to use the 2 other layers of this first piece on the inside going the opposite direction and having my words just tucked right in. So my heart is with you is on the Sympathy Dazzles. And then just to give a little bit of a shine, I use the straight line dazzles. These are the glitter ones. And I use the silver edge. There's a gold edge sheet in here too. And notice they cross in the corners because they're just inside the edge of the card. And I thought that was nice. And as I want to always encourage you when there's a situation where you need or sympathy is involved, do send a card. So blessings, my heart is with you. Really sweet. Okay, one more card, one more technique to share. And this card is got an aperture, so it's got an opening in the front. But you can see it's got kind of a mat around that. And let me show you how that was done. So this is our vertical 5 by 6.5 inch card. The paper that I used is this. It is the all over flourish. And then there's the reverse of it. So you can see I just tore them out of the book. So for the front, this one covered the entire front. And because I have so many of the focals are large, I didn't end up leaving a white card border around the cards. I could have, but like this really covers the whole thing, so I didn't kind of have room for it. So I covered the glue with glue on the front of my card. Then I took the square cutting die, and in this case I'm just using the straight edge, and I positioned it 1 inch down from the top. So I am taking this here. Let's open this package. And in the instructions I tell you the size of it. So let me open this up. And I feel like it's this one, but we'll find out for sure. Okay, as you know, whenever you have a square, if you turn it on point, you have a diamond. So that's the one. So I placed that 1 inch down, except I placed it on the front of my card. And then I folded this over, put a piece of cardstock here, and ran it through my die cutting machine because I have a machine that's only 6 inch, the mouth is only 6 inches wide. So that's what I did. Remove this piece. And then if you have not seen these, the next thing I'm going to show you are the embossed frames. They are inexpensive. And this is what the package looks like. There are circles and there are squares. And what I used were these squares. And that just means the size of the opening. So I used one on the outside and I used one on the inside. But look what happened, which I really like, is the one on top is, the opening is bigger than the one on the inside. So I've got a mat. I've got a double mat. I guess I've got a frame and a mat around my flowers. And I thought that was pretty neato. You know, but I did something before this. So let me re-roll just a moment. I wanted to give a little definition around the edge of my card front. So I went into my ink pads and I pulled out a couple of pieces to see which one I wanted to use. And remember, I had die cut the center. So rather than guessing, and I do this pretty often, I'll take a piece of the paper. In this case, this is the piece from the center. And I just used, in this case, I used velvet fawn on one edge and I used cocoa bean on the other, just to see what I would get. And then I placed it next to my card. You know, do I want cocoa bean? Well, that's pretty dark and that's pretty definitive, you know, it just is really bold. And this has a very, you know, tone on tone look. So that was not what I wanted. I went with the velvet fawn, which I use a lot. So I did go around the edge of the outside of my card. So I wanted to make sure that I told you that. Then I put this piece down. I thought it worked beautifully. I don't think many of the other designers have been using these. They're inexpensive and you get 4 of them. So I just thought that was super. So this is the squares, and then there's also a circles selection. I did add, these are the raspberry crystals, and again used the specialist glue and just did a dot. And there's a little arch on these in the scallop, so I just followed that and then just placed the crystals. Worked perfectly, and the pink matched. The Miss You, as you can probably tell, is from our Script Dazzles, and we do have a set of all colors of these, but because the script is on 3 sheets, there's a set of just black, so that's what I used, and that's the number you'll see. Okay, so now the inside of the card, which I had already shown you, is using the opposite paper. So this is the paper on the front, and then this is the paper on the inside. Same design, just one is white on pink, the other is pink on white. Then the only tricky part here is positioning this. So you just want to make sure that it's going to be placed so that it will show inside the larger frame on the outside of the card. So no big deal, just, you know, position it, glue it down. Then I used from this sheet that is called Magenta. This is the bolder sheet. And you can see I used just 3 of these. So I thought those ribbons were pretty. And foam tape them in place. And you can go a little bit higher when it's like this. It's within an aperture, an empty area on the card front. And then I used Sending Hugs. Now, on the sheet, let me pull it out. I think Sending Hugs is attached to each other. And where is it? Oh, I guess it's not. Okay. So typically Sending Smiles is what you used. I thought Sending Hugs worked quite nicely. So Sending Hugs is over here. So it is 2 pieces. I was just going to say that if it was in one strip, like with Love, you can always just cut that and make it work whatever space you need. But in this case, the Script Dazzles worked perfectly. Okay, so that, and then when I went back to the front, and I'm not sure that this made a huge difference. In fact, I know it didn't make a huge difference, but I wanted to add a little bit more just along the edge. I've got the Velvet Fawn. So I pulled, these are new. These are the Thin Line Pink Dazzles. These are not holographic, they're not sparkly like some of our other pink. This is the jewel border. This is kind of a Barbie pink. And so I did use that just around the edge. And if I were doing this again, maybe I'd want to add a second row, but I'd have to do that before I place the frame. So anyway, so this is my last card, and I hope you like them. I will tell you that it is so much fun making these. It just absolutely is. So I'm happy to share them with you. And just to recap, and I do want to tell you about the special that I figured out for you. So we've got the paper pack. You're going to get the 16 double-sided sheets. You can buy these separately. We've got the 4 sheets of the Blossom Blush. And then I also added a sheet in the Money Saver. I added a sheet of asparagus. I added the package of the embossed. And I added the butterfly cutting die. However, all of this is going to get you your normal Money Saver discount. This, instead of being $19.99, will be $5, and I'll add that to the Money Saver. So you're going to save $15 there, and then all of these together. So that's the Money Saver, and you know where that is on the right side of the screen. And down below, I've written all the instructions, so you've got all of those. And I hope that you like that and will find it useful. And don't forget my idea of using this cutting die. That's one reason why I put it on sale, because I really wanted you to be able to have fun with that, because it's so pretty. And you know it will cut glitter and foil and everything else. Okay, so that's the Money Saver. Right-hand side of the screen, all of the pieces are available separately. And if you happen to be watching this on YouTube, we hope that you will like us. We hope that you will subscribe, because that boosts our rankings, and we would appreciate your help in that. Then pop on over to paperwishes.com. We're happy to have Find It Trading as one of our partners. And it's been really nice to be able to show you so many of their things and to explore that. So thank you for joining us, and thank you especially for being part of our Paper Wishes family. I'll see you again.